Hello East End Primary, it's Katie from CCMI here to talk to you about the answers to some of your questions that you had for us yesterday underwater that we didn't really get a chance to answer because you guys had a lot. So without further ado, let's get started. Your first question was, how deep can a coral grow? Well, this question can get very technical. Let's just say that we're talking about the corals on our modern day coral reefs that you see in a tropical reef environment like we have here in Cayman. Those corals need to grow where the light is. So typically you will not see any corals growing beneath what we call the photic zone, which is about the top 500 meters of the ocean floor. That's still pretty deep, but believe it or not, you'll find corals down there. All right, next you asked, coral looks really colorful underwater, but it's white when out of the water. Why is this? That's an excellent question. And I think what you're referring to here is either the dead coral skeletons that you see washing up on the coast or on the beaches here. Those are dead coral skeletons, so they no longer have any of that tissue. Remember, coral is an animal very similar in a way to humans. They have an internal skeleton and they have a layer of almost skin on the outside, which gives them that color. When they die and they don't have that skin anymore, all you see is their skeleton. Or you could be asking about coral bleaching, where the corals are still in the water, but they appear white. This is when they lose that photosynthetic algae or zooxanthellae that we talked about yesterday. It's living inside those polyps, and when the coral is stressed out, the zooxanthellae leave the coral polyps and they leave it white or without color. So it could have been one of those two things you were asking about. Your next question was, Simon asked, are there any types of coral that are dangerous? And I think we sort of touched on this yesterday. There's no corals that are dangerous to humans per se. All corals do have what are called nematocytes or stinging cells. And most corals, if you were to touch one, which you never should do, but if you do accidentally, you will do more harm to that coral than it can do to you, even though it has those little teeny tiny microscopic stinging cells. The only coral that maybe would hurt you is called fire coral. And those nematocysts are much larger. And if you were to accidentally touch one of those, you would feel a burning sensation on your skin. But again, doing more damage to that coral than it could do to you. All right, next was Jaden asked if sea fans can change color. Jaden, sea fans cannot really change color unless they're sick and undergoing bleaching, just like our hermatipic or stony corals. But you will see them in a variety of colors as well. And again, that's because they have that zooxanthellae we talked about. And the last question from you guys over at East End Primary was from Aaron, and it was, can corals die? And Aaron, unfortunately, corals can die because, again, they're an animal just like you and me. And if they don't get the necessary nutrients or food they need to survive, or if their environment is no longer optimal, then unfortunately they can perish. All right, that was it for all of you students at East End Primary. Thank you again so much for joining us yesterday, and I hope that you'll be my dive buddies again on April 11th. Otherwise, keep in touch and we'll see you next time.